of that, straight on to the business news for you now. The energy crisis in Europe, of course, is already having a really dire effect on manufacturing companies. And Solange Mougin from our business desk is here to explain a little bit more about what exactly is happening, Solange.
Yeah, with Russia having shut off the taps to cheap gas earlier this month, and with continued worries about the possibility of an energy crisis this coming winter, well, manufacturers that require a lot of energy are already slowing down production across Europe. From steel to glass to aluminum to car makers, a number of companies have announced in the past few days that they are slowing down and or simply cutting off production and expect to continue to do so for the coming months. For example, ArcelorMittal, Europe's biggest steel producer, said that they plan to idle their blast furnaces, some of their blast furnaces, at the end of September. Now, amidst these jitters, there could be a rationing of energy this winter. It's not a great time to oversell excess electricity, but that is exactly what happened here in France. Électricité of Strasbourg accidentally sold too many gigawatts earlier this month in an IT error, which meant not only did they have to rebalance their supply, which cost them some 60 million euros, but the mistake also meant that the grid operator RTE had to call the UK and Spain, asking them to be on the ready to send extra gigawatts. Now, if the area's electricity ran out, in the end, it was not needed. The electricity didn't run out, but the costly and rare trading error is being investigated, and it has highlighted the energy strain that France is already under with unprecedented outages at some of its nuclear reactors. Now for the markets. China, South Korea and Hong Kong are closed for the Mid-Autumn Mooncake Festival, but the Nikkei is up by 1%, just over 1%. This is due in part to hope that inflation is slowing down in the United States. More numbers on that will be coming soon. Now, turning to what remains a top story in the world, the Queen's funeral. While the cost of the official period of mourning and the funeral itself remains unknown, we do know that Princess Diana's funeral, for example, it cost some £10 million in 1997, £10 million in 1997, and the Queen Mother's £5 million in 2002. And on top of that, there is also the cost of the bank holiday for the funeral on September 19th. The cost of this extra day off in lost economic output, well, it can go anywhere from £1 to £6 billion. Now, funeral aside, the Queen's death has brought the royal household's finances into the spotlight again. As Karis Garland tells us, the firm brings in roughly £270 million in net profit, but it also costs British taxpayers a hefty penny as well.
The British monarchy is sometimes referred to as the firm. It's a family business with the monarch as CEO. Loyal subjects pay a handsome price, and most are more than happy to do so, literally queuing up for the pomp and circumstance at events like this year's Jubilee celebrations or royal weddings. To help pay for it all, the British taxpayer forked out £86 million for the year 2020-2021. That's about 100 million euros. The money covers expenditures from royal travel and receptions to building maintenance and garden parties. That sovereign grant is calculated as a proportion of profits from the Crown Estate, which is a holding of land and properties valued in 2021 at £15 billion, just over 17 billion euros. The royal family also has its own vast wealth, much of it inherited. The royal stamp collection alone is valued in the tens of millions of euros. For the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in June, royal fever was promised to provide a boost to Britain's biggest brand, which back in 2017 the consultancy Brand Finance valued at £67.5 billion, almost 78 billion euros.
Now, the Queen's death has created a frenzy for nabbing all things with her profile or insignia on them. Right after her passing, the Royal Mint actually had a surge of traffic on its site. One user posted on Twitter that he was, get this, 6,390th in line, as you see there. to buy the last coins with the Queen's image on them before the British pounds and pences begin carrying King Charles III's profile. But investors beware, much of the Queen's memorabilia, be it trinkets, t-shirts, or tuppence, well, it will not drastically go up in value for a long time to come, Stuart. So we can get those mugs just for the fun of them, but they may not gain in too much value over time.
I think they're all going to be sold out pretty quickly,
True,
I have to say. Solange, thanks very much. Solange Mujang with the business news for you on France 24.